Man, Luthier studied his entire life to be a mage, and ended up mediocre. Imagine spending decades on something just to be kinda okay at it. Everyone knows that not all Fire Emblem characters are created equal. Fire Emblem units like Seth, Har, Camilla, Sigurd, etc. have been praised to hell and back, as people love them for breaking the games they're in like they were nothing more than toothpicks. But have you ever thought about what it means to be the average Joe next to these gods among men? Like, have you ever thought about how Ford feels when he sees Seth solo half of Grotto's army with an iron sword like it was nothing but a casual Sunday stroll? FE4 touched on this a bit, with some substitutes wondering what the hell point they even had being on the battlefield next to holy-blooded gods like Ares or Seliph, but in my opinion, Luthier's character from Echo's Shadows of Valentia is one of the best examples of the plight of the average man. So today, we're going to look at the continent's most average mage. In terms of personality, Luthier's described in-game as eccentric, which, yeah, that certainly fits him to a T. He tends to keep himself locked indoors, always studying and practicing his magic, and because of this, he has no social awareness at all, being very awkward in conversation and not really being good at the whole talking to people thing in general. And lastly, he has no friends. Outside of his cat, he doesn't really seem to get along with anyone. So yeah, Luthier tends to be a character a lot of people like and relate to. He's a social recluse whose only friend is a cat, and come on, go online for about 20 seconds and you're bound to see at least 100 people who match that description. Story-wise, Luthier first appears in a little forest hamlet just after the start of Chapter 3, coming up to Alm and the good guys with a request. His younger sister Delthea has been mind-controlled by some evil dickbag, and he needs Alm's help to save her. Alm, of course, agrees, but he can't right away because he needs to save Matilda first, because Valentia has a real problem with people getting kidnapped and or being in perilous life or death situations. Thankfully, despite Delthea's power, Alm happens to find a sword with a built-in mercy technique, so Alm can save Delthea, and with it, win Luthier's undying loyalty. Oh, and Delthea's help too. And let me tell you, Delthea is a powerhouse, having an absurd damage output thanks to her really good magic and speed. Her spell list might not be ideal, but with her raw power, it's made largely irrelevant. Plus, Gaiden has a plethora of rings that help in mitigating her lack of 3-range spells. Her bulk is poor, but like, she's a mage. What the hell tanking did you think she was gonna be capable of? All in all, damage-wise, she is Alm's best mage by far. And you might ask yourself, why am I talking about Delthea's unit quality in a Luthier video? Well, let's look at Luthier's quality. Luthier is a resounding... okay. His spell list has the fantastic Excalibur and Thunder, giving him deadly accuracy and solid range. The issue is more his stat line. His bases are fine, but as the game progresses, his mediocre growth rates, which were buffed from Gaiden, believe it or not, start to bring him down. He's not completely unusable. Like I said, his spell list and bases are great, but he really struggles to be the go-to magic user for Alm when compared to Delthea or even a well-trained villager. And I want you to think about that disparity between the two of them, and try to consider that disparity from the perspective of Luthier. Delthea is just a 13-year-old girl. She doesn't even care about magic. She's more interested in the typical 13-year-old things, like having fun and talking about pretty boys. She puts forth no effort into her magical studies, but thanks to the fact that her bloodline's magic transfers through female heirs, she's got raw talent that keeps her going. Luthier is a 22-year-old man who takes his magic very seriously. He immerses himself in his studies and dedicates himself to them so much that his only friend is a cat. All that effort, all that respect for his bloodline, and the best thing I can say about him is that he's not bad. So imagine, if you will, how Luthier feels, dedicating so much of his life to his passion, only to be one-upped by a girl who couldn't care less about it all if she tried. That gap in adequacy is what drives Luthier's relationship with his sister. In what is almost certainly a huge amount of self-projection, he basically forces Delthea to hone her skills, always nagging her about how she needs to study harder, or how she needs to start taking things more seriously. And that's Luthier's biggest problem. While there is something to be said about the importance of family legacy and what it means to uphold it, it doesn't change that Luthier's imposing what he thinks Delthea's life should be about onto her. And of course, that causes the two of them to clash. Because while sure, Delthea can be a bit of a brat, she's 13. What kid isn't a bit of a brat at that age? And Luthier constantly being on her case about things she really doesn't care about, and has no need to care about, doesn't help matters at all.
Hello, yes. I'd like to phone in the patron advertisement this episode.
That's right, I have a Patreon, where people give me money and I keep making videos that I would have been making even if they didn't give me money. But don't tell them I said that. There are 3 separate tiers at $3, $5, and $7, so you can pitch in and help the channel for cheap, and get benefits like early access to future videos. $7 gives you the ability to vote on polls for future character analysis videos. Next episode is either going to be on Lewin or Joshua, so if you've got some spare change, you can make your voice heard. My patrons include the likes of Arctic Dusk, Atomic X160, Benz Again, Don Juan, Fire Emblem Lord, Follow Pen to the North Star on Twitch, Great Riek, Green Brigand, Hell on Heelys, Jespacito 2, Keith and Coleman, Kieran Morin, Lightning Bolt, Me Do a Gamer, Memi, Mesomematomia, Nevrix the Fallen Shield Guy, Ranger Man Sam, Ryan Walter, Space1255, Steph D, Tato, Anti-Ginger, Brentendo11, Drew Hack, Kazu Foxfire, Max, Sazegi, and Tellier-Bop. Wow, they didn't have any crazy names for me to say this time. Huh. Anyways, back to Luthier. But you know, in spite of Luthier and Delthea's differences, the siblings are still close, and there is genuine love there between them. Because while there is some definite projection by Luthier onto Delthea, he is also trying to get her to focus on her studies because he loves her and is worried about her. And while Delthea, she does understand that Luthier is mostly just socially inept, and she tries to help him learn how to talk to people, even if she does it by stroking her own ego. Luthier and Delthea's relationship is very enjoyable, as what the two have to say about each other and how they talk to each other leads to both heartwarming and comical results.
And it's a good thing that his relationship with Delthea works well, because it's the only one Luthier is allowed to have. He has no supports outside of his sister. His base conversations aren't bad though, as they explain why he isn't as good as Delthea at magic, and they give a reason why Luthier tries so damn hard to be a master sage. The first point I brought up earlier, Delthea and Luthier are descendants from a powerful Zophian mage, and since the mage was a woman, her power passes down to women more easily than men. The second point is that the magic in Luthier's blood is a gift, one that not everyone can have. As he puts it, quote, "Magical ability is in the blood. If one is not born with it, well, they will never hear the spirit's voices, no matter how hard they train. I know how precious my gifts are, so I intend to spend my life perfecting them." So that explains why he's so adamant about his magic. To him, if he refused to train and focus his magical gifts, he'd be giving a middle finger to all aspiring mages who are unable to learn due to not having a bloodline that can. He knows he's privileged in life, and he doesn't want it to go to waste. And that same motive is what drives his ire with Delthea. So in Luthier, we're given a concrete motive to how he acts, and not only is his plight seen in the story, but you also feel it by how he plays as a unit. That kind of gameplay story integration is the kind of thing I love, and while it's becoming rarer and rarer in Fire Emblem, sadly, moments like this when it does show up is always going to get good marks from me. The last point I want to bring up is his ending. In it, he realizes he's not the mage he wants to be, and decides to travel abroad. The game says that he goes to a continent overseas, which is, of course, Arcanea, and it can be reasonably assumed that he goes to Kadeen, the wizard school Merrick is from. Hell, the manga for FE1 even has Luthier cameo in it, though given that Luthier canonically goes there after the events of FE1, this is just a silly cameo and not actually what he does. What is true is that, depending on when Luthier leaves for Kadeen, it could put him there during the events of FE3 Mystery of the Emblem. Which also means Luthier could be one of the mages that are killed during Arlen's insurrection of Kadeen. You know what? Thinking about that makes me sad, so we're just gonna pretend that I never said that. And so, we've come to the end of yet another character analysis video. The first of the new year, and I think we're off to a fantastic start. Thanks as always to my buddy the Green Brigand for helping proofread the script and just talk about the video with me. Always happy to have him around to help, even if he can be a smartass. If you enjoyed the video, consider stopping by the Discord. It's a lot of fun there, and we like to chat, have a good old time, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, yada yada yada. Oh, and before you go, consider seeing me at MagFest. Yeah, I'm going this year. Convention's gonna be fun. I loved it last time I was there. And if you're watching this video after MagFest is already done, get fucked. Until next time.
Change the world. My final message.